Hi everyone and welcome to our second casted game from the WARNO 2v2 tournament that took place this last weekend. We are looking again at a first round game, and today it will be the two different teams, Crackus versus Barry Dillon. Barry Dillon being Jasp 137 and Phoenix versus Crackus, Agrippa and Magi. So let's get this show on the road. Over here, on the right-hand side of the map, in red, we have Jasp 137 and Phoenix. And over on the left, in blue, we have Magi and Agrippa. Magi at the top against Phoenix, and down at the bottom, we have Jasp versus Agrippa. Now, what I will note is that, again, the colours are reversed. We are seeing red 4 in blue and blue 4 in red. But we should be used to that by now. It happens a lot in WARNO. Let's get this game started. Now, I don't know any of the players who are playing in this game. I'm not sure what strategies they're going to go with. Not seeing a huge amount of forward scouts from Agrippa there, and Agrippa is playing as the 79th Tank Division, interestingly, and Magi is playing as the Infantry Division up at the top there. And then over here, I'm seeing Phoenix, who is playing as the Tank Division, and Jasp down the bottom playing as the Infantry Division. So we have tanks against infantry and infantry against tanks at the bottom. There's a lot of infantry coming out for Agrippa. That's the big thing that's surprising me at the moment, with that being the Tank Division. Although obviously he will be securing Foxtrot, and paramount there are significant amounts of infantry. Again, on this map, Delta is the place to cap and keep, and that's where most of the fighting takes place. It obviously creates a very focused combat area. Up at the top, we can see Phoenix has moved in and is going for a rather secure position in Alpha rather than pushing any further forward, compared to Magi, who is pushing straight down, it looks like, to the center, and will be coming up against Jasp's units there. Jasp, however, at the bottom of the map, has made an aggressive push into Foxtrot straight away. Now, this is one of the strategies we saw used in the 1v1 tournament, was to get into one of these two positions at the top or the bottom and push into the enemy territory straight away. This is obviously extremely effective, in particular in Foxtrot, because of the amount of buildings. It is, as I said in the previous match, very difficult to dislodge people once they have a strong foothold. And equally vice versa, if someone is defending well, it is very hard to get in. Neither team actually pushing any units into the middle. I can see Jasp has just one scout vehicle there, just sitting in the bushes at the edge. Points-wise, Agrippa and Magi are currently ticking up the points quite rapidly, as they have spent early points on getting command vehicles. However, command vehicles are now coming in for Blue 4. Not a lot happening at the top of the map at all. A huge open area. Can see that Magi is pushing some units up there, probably to do a little bit of scouting and see what they're actually up against. Neither team obviously knows that there is nothing there at the moment. Ideally, as we've seen before, Phoenix needs to secure this area of the map to stop reinforcements coming into the center. Down here, Jasp is being very aggressive and managing to push quite far into the town now. So BMP-1s just sat up there not doing very much. Would have liked to see those perhaps trying to engage some of these units here. CV coming in there for Jasp as well, just to neutralize that point, if nothing else, to reduce that income, while other CVs move into position. I will note that there are no CVs currently in Bravo. Now, that hasn't been destroyed. I assume that was moved forward either accidentally or on purpose by Phoenix. Lots and lots of infantry coming in for Jasp there. Phoenix bringing in some bits and pieces around the back. They will be recapping Bravo as soon as possible, I am sure. Significant amount of fighting really is going on down in Foxtrot right now. Jasp is slowly pushing out more and more. Few units for both teams in the center, but neither team has capped it. And note that that unit is still flittering about up there. There were 3 in total, 2 are dead. So Phoenix and Magi are aware that there aren't many units in the middle by this point. So it'll be a question of whether one of them pushes forward to try and take this area and have that extra defensive line. You can see a chopper coming in there, more for scouting than anything else. There are a lot of infantry just sat in those buildings there as well. Obviously a nice point to have defended, but would those infantry be better placed in the centre of the map, I wonder. Radvetska down there, no units behind the enemy lines at the moment. Everything is looking fairly stable in that sense. I do notice that there aren't any scouts blocking either side of the map though, but equally I'm not sure how experienced these players are and whether they would try such a tactic. Agrippa coming in with a lot more reinforcements of Mortarstrelki there. Now again, Agrippa is playing as the tank division, but we are not seeing many tanks from him right now. Admittedly, I'm surprised by that because really the tanks would have been helpful early on to stop this push. There is an M1A1 Abrams there and it would have been useful against that. Loads more reinforcements coming in for Jasp as well. That's a lot more infantry, mostly cheap military police, a couple of flash squads, all things that are needed to take a town. Mostly here he's going up against Mortarstrelki. I can't see any RPOs there, so he's not going to pose a huge threat to those flash units. In the centre of the map, we're seeing Magi losing a few of his little vehicles that were there. I believe that Kiowa just managed to kill one of those with a Hellfire. A couple of units in the middle, including a command tank there for Jasp, so the points are now swinging in their favour. Not a lot of movement at the top from Magi. He is just holding that position with admittedly not a huge amount of units at the top there. I think comparatively there are a few more units defending for Phoenix, but neither player pushing out. Two Su-22 M4 HE bombers there used to kill that chopper. One has been lost to the anti-air down here. That seems like a bit of a... Oh, and the second one lost as well. That is a waste of 2 planes for a scout chopper. An excessive waste. That is not good. Not that they're necessarily expensive planes, but, you know, either way, you don't want to be losing 2 planes like that. Jasp has solidified his control on the bottom of the map there, with a significant amount of forces encircling those Mortarstrelki. And those Mortarstrelki taking a lot of shots, particularly from those flash units. Mortarstrelki dying out very, very quickly. It will not be too difficult for Jasp to take control there. I notice a couple of grad launchers have been brought in to try and stave off those units coming in further. However, quick moving of all those flash engineers means that they will avoid the bulk of those rockets. And let's be honest, grads just don't do that much damage because splash damage isn't that great right now. Large amount of tanks coming in there for Magi towards the centre. On their own with no infantry support, I'd really be pushing some of these infantry along the road with them. I mean, there is a lot of infantry there. Not to mention there are a couple of shilkers there. I'd also be pushing those forward. Currently those tanks are basically undefended against missiles and infantry. Not a lot happening at the top of the map at all. Neither player pushing forward here. And Phoenix slowly pushing units down the side here, getting some shots on those tanks, but nothing too exciting, and let's be realistic. I don't think these tanks have been well positioned at all. I think that Abrams is actually going to win out. Yep, Abrams won out against that tank. I think it just got some early shots in. I see a chopper coming in there, rocket chopper. Stinger moving forward there to take it out. It is getting very close to that tank, far too close as it is taking machine gun fire, and that Stinger will, if it gets a shot off, make short work of it. Abrams at the back also firing at it now. That is bad positioning for that chopper, I'm afraid. Does not have a gun, it is going to die while doing minimal damage to that tank. Down at the bottom we can see that Jasp has pushed in considerably further into that point now and will quite easily at this stage, by the looks of it, be able to take it out. There's a single BRDM command unit there. There are some reinforcements coming in again, but really to be holding that point, you need to have some RPOs against those flash. Equally, there are a lot more reinforcements coming in for Jasp as well. Center of the map now firmly held by Jasp, with a few units from Phoenix as well. There is a command vehicle coming in there, however, realistically, it has no protection and is going to be destroyed fairly quickly. These infantry really needed to be moved down with those tanks realistically, preferably with their anti-air as well, just to provide some cover. More use of large numbers of grads and an Uragan there. However, at this stage of the game, yes, it's going to be annoying, but it's not going to completely empty that point of enemy forces. Jasp reinforcements have arrived, still waiting on those ones from Agrippa at the bottom there. But I think it's safe to say that pushing Jasp out of that point will be extremely difficult now. Central point neutralized, but obviously points still ticking in for NATO at this point. Lots and lots of rockets coming in there, but relatively ineffective. No damage to either of those squads really. One building destroyed. They just don't do enough splash damage right now to be that useful. And counter battery fire coming from cluster MRLS against those artillery pieces. Is he going to get any kills there? Let's have a little look. He's realised the mistake, is moving those now because he knows the counter battery fire is coming in. I think he is going to get out of there without taking any damage to those units. Very lucky. Good job he realised. More grad fire coming in against the units in the middle. Oh no. Just firing randomly in the center of the point. Not actually hitting any of Jasp's units there. Plenty of reinforcements coming in still for Agrippa, but firm hold for Jasp. I don't think he's going to be dislodged at this stage of the game. Center of the map is not seeing a huge amount of action, considering it is the focal point for the majority of games on this map. There is just not a lot of fighting going on there, I think due to a lack of Magi actually pushing down that way. Counter battery fire still coming from up at the top with those MRLS clusters from Phoenix. Will he actually get some kills this time? Very difficult to say. Certainly doing a little bit of damage to the grads there. A couple of decent shots. One dead. Other one surviving at the moment. Second one is dead. Both grads taken out of action. Counter battery fire coming from an Uragan back at the base of Magi now. Again, very little happening at the top of the map in this game. Not much movement from Phoenix, not much movement from Magi. I can see Magi bringing in a lot of infantry reinforcement, probably heading towards the middle, but I think that might be a case of too little, too late at this stage. Down at the bottom, again, we're seeing a push forward by Jasp. He is doing a very good job at staying in control of that position and making sure he doesn't get dislodged. Up at the top, we are seeing counter battery against the MRLS cluster, which hasn't been moved as yet. Is probably going to die. It has taken a lot of damage. It'll be very lucky if it gets out of this one alive. Phoenix has realised and is moving it away from the path of fire. Now that's something to note, which is all artillery pieces in WARNO fire left to right. It is not as random as you would think it is. All artillery fires left to right. That is also the same when it comes to autocannons we discovered in our testing the other day. So when you're firing artillery, or on the receiving end of artillery, be aware that the shots will start at the left and go across to the right. So if you're running away from them, you want to be moving to the enemy's left, not towards the right. And that will avoid the further incoming shots, as the randomization isn't as random as it should be. Random shots coming in at the top there from the grad units and an Uragan from Magi against Alpha. I really don't fully understand the point of that. I assume to try and kill the pivads, but it seems like a bit of a waste of a shot. I'd be saving that artillery for firing down here when I'm moving all my units in. You will notice Magi is now finally shifting all of those Motorstrelki into position. He has quite a significant force there. If he uses them sensibly, I imagine he would actually have got into this point. However, he is up against 2 tanks there. He is firing against them with the BMPs. However, those units would have been better sent through the forest rather than out in the open where they've taken some fire. Cohesion is still high for one squad. It has dropped cohesion for the other 2. These units taking lots of fire from the military police. However, realistically, Motorstrelki are certainly better than military police in this situation. Down at the bottom we can see that the firm hold that Jasp has on that point is only ever growing, and soon he will have complete control of that point. BRDM has moved right to the back. However, realistically, there's no way that they're going to recap that at this stage of the game. Napalm bombers coming in there for NATO, straight on top of Magi units, though doing little to nothing at all to those infantry. I think we can safely say that napalm are a bit useless. Cluster bomber coming in as well, though I'm not entirely sure what it was aimed at firing at. It doesn't seem to have dropped its payload. Lots more reinforcements coming in for Agrippa, but I think at this stage of the game it's a little bit of too little too late. Magi certainly pushing quite aggressively through the centre there. Random movement of the pivads that just took a single shot from a missile and got killed. You can see that cluster still flying around. It has taken damage. It really needs to be evac'd. He is firing. He's firing on those shilkers, I believe. Has done damage to one of them. It is not dead. MiG-31 coming in there. However, that Eagle will make quick work of it if it does engage. Bit of artillery being passed back and forth between the 2 sides, though neither being particularly effective for the most part. Loads of mortars coming in here for Jasp. I assume hoping to dislodge the last of the units here. I suspect that that was having a lot of points and not knowing what to do with them, as there are an awful lot of mortars there. Realistically, he does need to get something firing at this position here, but that is game. Major victory for Jasp and Phoenix playing as NATO. Commiserations to Magi and Agrippa. Significant advantage in kills, especially to Jasp, who was doing an amazing job down in Foxtrot there. Very hard point to defend once the enemy has a strong foothold in it. Well, that's the second of our games from the 2v2s. I hope that was entertaining. Please join me for the next video, which will be the last cast of the round 1 games, as there is one unfortunately missing in terms of replay, but I will put something together from my live stream, as I did cover that game at that time, I believe, so I will get that sorted separately. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you all soon for some more Warno.